Hello and welcome to another episode of the Best You interview series. It's Gary here again. Thank you as always for taking the time to tune in today in what I'm sure is going to be quite a unique episode for something that I'll tell you about in a little while and something that I learned about 90 seconds ago. So this is going to be quite exciting. Today I'm delighted to be joined by author Raj Khedun, who is the managing director of health and wellness company Keep Fit Kingdom. Now, Keep Fit Kingdom has published over 1,500 articles in the areas of health, fitness, yoga, nutrition, healthy recipes, and motivation. Raj published a top 10 category book, How Squats Can Change Your Life, and also has 12 years of experience in relationship, performance, and mentoring coaching. With his team, they've developed little known methods that work profoundly to transform and improve a person's life in the areas of health, fitness, overcoming addiction without prescription medication, side effects, and the anxiety that often accompanies conventional advice. This is all very interesting and exciting. Raj, thank you very, very much for joining me today.
Absolutely great to be with you, Gary. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you. So, can you tell me just a bit about your background? I typically like to start this way. Just what's your journey? What did your life look like? Your career look like to get you to this spot?
Right. I mean, it goes back right to the beginning pretty much, and I'm hoping that, people can kind of relate to the child within themselves in terms of, being in school. Like, what were you thinking about? What were you dreaming about? Did you always have aspirations?
Yeah.
Did you love reading superhero comic books because you wanted to be a superhero one day? Did you have an aspiration to do something great in the world? I think as children, we all have that,
Yeah.
you know. And then when your parents ask you, what do you want to do? I want to be an astronaut. I want to
Yeah.
be the president or whatever,
Yeah.
or the prime minister. And we're like, yeah, you can't really do that. It's not realistic. And then kind of the dream fades because we can't attach that feeling of passion to something which everyone says is never going to work. So the dream kind of recedes, and then we just kind of forget about it normally.
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
which is sad, which is sad. But for me, the strange thing was when I was 3 years old, my mother took me to nursery for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And the first two books I picked up, one was about planets.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, you look at things like this. And so space and planets was the
Yeah.
first thing. Second thing was dinosaurs.
Right.
Because, kids love dinosaurs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jurassic Park and all that. And these things, for whatever reason, they stuck in my mind, so etched deeply in my mind, in my subconscious mind, that these images never left me.
Yeah.
I can remember it as if it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, strange and as silly as it sounds, my life has been built on concepts from those images.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
So explain a bit more about that. I'm intrigued to hear more about that.
yeah, I mean, first, the planets thing was, what are these things really in space? Do these things really exist? But
Yeah.
we're on this little blue dot. So
Yeah.
what are these other ones? What are they doing there? Like,
Yeah.
you've got Jupiter, you've got Saturn with rings around it. Looks beautiful, right?
Yeah.
You've got Neptune so far away, 3 billion miles away. You got Uranus, and you've got Venus and Mercury right next to the sun. Doesn't it get burned up? You
Yeah.
know, it takes only 88 days to go around the sun once, and it never gets burned up after all these billions of years. Like, how is that? How is that even possible? You
Yeah.
know? And then we look at Venus in the sky sometimes. You look at the sky and we see a bright star. It looks like a star, but it's Venus in
Right.
many cases. I'm thinking, like, who put all this there? Like, how does this all work? Why are they there?
Yeah.
You go on YouTube, if you go and you look up Mars, yeah,
Mhm.
you can find, the space, the satellites that have, robots that have landed on Mars, and they're doing explorations there for years.
Yeah.
They haven't found anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just rock, right? And they do all these experiments to drill into the ground, and they have got no water, no plants, no nothing,
Yeah.
right? But then you still think to yourself, but why is it there? Why
Yeah.
is Mars there?
Yeah.
If there's nothing on it, there's a reason why the planet is there.
Yeah.
Because someone higher than us put it there.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
Right? So
So
these kind of, yeah.
I was just going to say, so then at a very young age, you're starting to question the philosophy of life, the philosophy of the physical planets, and the physical being and such. How does that manifest itself into your career? Post school.
Yeah, I mean, school, the thing about school, if we can touch on that for a moment, is that the subjects that they taught or the facts they try to stuff your head with,
Mm,
a lot of it is kind of redundant and useless, a lot of it.
yeah.
They don't really help you equip you for real life,
Yeah.
you know. You're just reading a bunch of books, which I realized later were politically skewed to give the kids a particular mindset,
Mm,
right? And then I realized that, you know what, a lot of this is complete, with all respect, garbage,
yeah.
right? Just to indoctrinate kids to think in a particular way.
Yeah.
And I found it wasn't obvious to me then, but as I grew and I evolved and I started talking to people and started to think, hang on a minute, there is something odd going on here.
Yeah.
For example, in your entire schooling, if you study to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, you have to go to school for like, 12 years, 15 years, whatever it is to get your degree. Then you think, in all my entire schooling, why have I never been taught for 1 hour what concentration is,
Mm,
or what focus is, or what is the mind?
yeah.
Never heard it.
Yeah.
It's the most
It's
important part of you, but
Well,
you never talk about it.
it's fascinating you say that. I remember being at a conference down in Phoenix back in 2014, 2015, something like that. And the fellow was speaking about his colleague who was a doctor who said during his medical training he spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours looking down a microscope to
Mm,
learn things and not 1 hour on a communications course,
wow.
where he would be able to communicate with families, communicate with other doctors, communicate with other providers, communicate with pharmacists or such. The ability to be able to articulate what he's doing, what he's found, what he needs, what's going to be next, what they can expect. And at that time, it was explained in such a way where I was thinking, wow, like I understand the need for, base foundational level education, but it feels like the actual, to your point earlier, practicalities of what we
Yeah,
don't teach is the stuff that would be actually genuinely meaningful in real life, not just
yeah,
professional life.
yeah. And do you feel like, we have these fantastic conversations in our live streams, in our, community, and a lot of people say, is it a conspiracy? Because we've been fed the American educational model from Rockefeller about how to create a consumerist society and keep that going.
Mm,
Because if they teach you to become entrepreneurial, it means you break free of the financial shackles and earn what you want and scale as much as you want.
yeah,
But if you don't think outside of the box, you're going to be trapped in the box.
yeah,
So you're going to be limited by the frameworks of the paradigm that you've been given by default in your education system.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. It's deep stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then your early career, like have you always been in health, wellness, self-development type spaces, or is that something that's been a natural evolution for you?
Yeah, natural evolution. You study Darwin in school,
Yeah.
survival of the fittest, natural selection, all those things. But I wanted to go a bit deeper and say, okay, well, how does this apply in real life?
Mm,
How do I take concepts and see how I can create as much change and freedom for myself as possible?
yeah.
So as when I was young, I was evolving. I was going to seminars, like Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill masterminds. I was connected to that kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
give a different framework from a financial perspective
Yeah.
as well. And all of these things are completely opposite to what the school system
Yeah.
had you believe, right? And I thought, well, is all this stuff always come from America, and it's always opposite to what the UK would teach.
Mm,
So why do they think so big and so expansive and so different to to Europe. So anyway, I carried on studying those kinds of things. I was into health and fitness anyway.
Yeah.
I used to go to the gym like most alpha male young boys, try to outcompete each other, out bench press each other, out squat each other, out
Yeah.
overhead press or shoulder press each other, and all those silly alpha male things you do.
Yeah.
So I was always into fitness. I did bodybuilding for a time. I used to run quite a lot. I used to do a lot of rowing as well.
Yeah.
I was heavily into gymnastics and things like that. I love the Olympics and used to
Mm.
watch all of that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, I was involved in my own health and fitness, also nutrition, studied nutrition, and now been a vegetarian for 25 years.
Right.
So it's not extreme. It's not like veganism where you have to like cut off all dairy completely.
Mm.
But for me, it's really worked well because you get all the digestive benefits, the sleep better benefits, the less acne benefits,
Mm.
and just the general energy increase that you get from a plant-based diet
Yeah.
by being vegetarian has been really helpful.
Yeah. So then you've got this experience that's transposed itself now into your career in terms of your coaching and your wellness work that you're doing. What would you say is the biggest misconception about the type and style of work that you do when people are talking about transformation of their lifestyle?
It's a big question, Gary. It's huge. This is the kind of thing people would love to debate, after midnight when they feel like, okay, don't have to worry about people's opinions. We're open-minded.
Yeah.
We're night owls. We're thinking about life and philosophy.
Yeah.
So the misconceptions, they can be as broad and deep as you want,
Yeah.
you know. But what I've found, because at the end of the day, we all want answers,
Yeah.
right? We all want conclusions. And if you study conventional psychology, what you'll find is that you end up more confused because there is no conclusion.
Yeah.
It's just hypotheses after hypotheses,
Yeah.
theory after theory, but they're not telling you at the end of the day what is the end result, what is the conclusive knowledge you should hold on to as your navigational pattern of life.
Mm.
So, misconceptions are like, what do you think life is? What do you think the environment is? What do you think's contained in the air around you? Because there's a lot of hidden stuff in our very space here,
Yeah.
which is not taught,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And if you knew what that was, that would change everything for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. So,
And then, so your book. I mentioned your book earlier. You know how squats can change your life. You mentioned squats when you were talking about the gym there as well.
mm.
What sort of transformative story or insight have you seen from readers of the book or adopters of the principles from within the book?
Yeah, it's a great question. I can use an example from my own life if that helps, and then I can
Perfect.
talk
Yeah.
to some of the readers who reviewed the book on Amazon is probably the most widespread place where people review stuff, and
Mm.
our book as well. So when I was younger, I used to get terrible flus, in the UK, in the great green country we live in, damp and green country. It's quite easy to get flus and viruses and stuff like that. It's
Yes.
3 or 4 times a year. I used to get it really bad, like 2 weeks at a time,
Right.
and I was almost like an invalid because my throat would be seriously sore. I couldn't hear. I would almost go deaf.
Oh
You know
wow.
when this part of your ear, nose, and throat become inflamed.
Yeah.
It's exaggerated in terms of like you don't look that sick, but you feel terrible inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I couldn't listen to music. I couldn't answer the phone. I'm kind of cloistered in my bedroom for 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
I just feel dumb because I'm a young guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had to take the flu jab.
Right.
And I know people say, okay, that's not a big deal, but for me, it kind of was because I felt like flu jabs were just for old people.
Yeah.
That's the kind of idea I used to have. And
Yeah.
I don't want to keep doing this. I have to do this every year, every
Yes.
single year. So I looked at ways that if you do exercise, will you build up your immune system? So that's when I started experimenting more carefully with squats.
Mm,
And after I started doing weighted squats with a barbell, that's how I first started.
right.
I started noticing that I'd have more energy, I'd sleep better, my flus would disappear within a couple of days
Yeah.
instead of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I realized, what's actually happening here? Like, what's going on? We know fitness is good for you,
Yeah.
but is it having that drastic of an effect on my immune system that I could kick the virus that quickly? So then I started researching it more, and then forgot to mention I have a yoga background of 25 years.
Right.
So hatha yoga is the physical postures, but also the meditative aspects
Yes.
of yoga. So then I started experimenting with the breath to understand, okay, is it the exercise that's making me better, or is it the breathing that's making me better,
Yeah.
or is it both?
Yeah.
Like carefully experimented, analyzed very assiduously, the analyses between them to find out what was working.
Yeah.
Um, so I found out it really was the breathing
Right.
that did it.
Yeah.
And I realized that if the breathing can have such a huge impact on your immune system and your nervous system, how come everyone is not talking about this?
Mm,
So, in terms of the results people are getting, um, in the Western world, you sit on chairs normally with your knee bent at 90-degree angle.
yeah.
And a lot of times you just take it for granted that that's how you should sit.
Yeah.
But then what happens is after 10, 20, 30 years of sitting like that, your knee doesn't get to bend further. So you lose that mobility,
Yeah.
that extra, 20, 30, 40 degrees
Yeah.
that would actually help to strengthen your entire knee capsule. You lose that
Yeah.
because you don't exercise it,
Yeah.
and if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people start getting arthritis when they're in their 30s and 40s
Yeah.
simply because they're told you must never squat past parallel. You must never squat below 90 degrees. That's
Yeah.
nonsense
Yeah.
because you're missing a whole huge movement arc of what your body is actually made to do.
Yeah.
So if you go to Asia, you see they do the Asian squat.
Right.
Yeah. If you can feel better as an 80-year-old scrubbing the floors because you can put your heels, your rear to your heels and
Yeah.
scrub properly, use your whole body, that in itself is a workout.
Yeah.
But us in the West, because we don't do that, we think, oh, we can only go to the gym to work out.
Mm,
But
yeah.
that's completely, you know, that's wrong. Um, so people who've, in their later ages realize that, oh, simple body weight squats where you go down as far as you can go comfortably without hurting yourself,
Yeah.
that is actually a better exercise than all these other instruments and gym equipment and all these complicated routines. You don't really need those.
Yeah. It's interesting. My son, he's 15 and he'll do a lot of squats, whether it's assisted squats as part of what he calls the Smith machine. I don't know if that's a brand name or if it's a type of equipment or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But whenever he's doing it on free weights, he'll go right down.
yeah,
And I vividly remember the conversation, not even 3 months ago, maybe around about that, where I
mm,
said, like, is that the way you should be doing that? Because like in my head, not that I've been an extensive gym user over the years, but in my
mm,
head, the squats were 90 degrees, exactly as you said, Raj.
mm,
90 degrees to get the benefit that you want to get, and then you go back up, then you come back down. And he's like, and he was kind of like a little bit irritated by the question, actually, and then he said, "That's the way I do it." So that's it.
mm.
And I said, "Right, good. I'm just asking. I'm just trying to learn
Wow.
what that looks like." So I don't know if it's actually learned behavior or if it's
Mm,
something from his own experience where he's saying this actually works better for me. Like this is, I feel like I'm getting a better workout. I feel like I'm actually doing good for my body at the same time, or it could just be the random ramblings of a 15-year-old as well. Who knows? I'm not sure.
The thing is, Gary, when it comes to things like this, I was also confused about why people would say do it like this. Other person would say no, do it like that. A coach
Yeah.
would say, "Oh no, I've been coaching athletes for years. Do it like that." You wouldn't doubt them, right? Because
Yeah.
they sound like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And when someone is confident and they sound like they know what they're talking about, you tend not to doubt them.
Yeah.
But my thing was, I have to analyze everything for myself.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I have to experiment for myself. I have to make notes for myself. I have to analyze these type of athletes, collegiate athletes, gymnastic athletes, Olympic athletes. I have to look at their anatomy and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And my conclusion is, and I'm always glad to come to a conclusion
Yeah.
because the thing I hate is like when I die, I don't want to think, oh, I never knew the answer to this or this or this or this.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, with all humor aside, I realized that squatting deeper gave me more muscle.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't want more muscle?
Yeah.
You know, more strength, more muscle, more cardiovascular respiratory depth.
Mhm.
And because you have more respiratory depth, you have ability to recharge quicker.
Yeah.
Your heart and lungs and your liver and everything is working much more, you know, much more efficiency, more power.
Yeah.
And that can only benefit you,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's actually fascinating that we're talking about this very topic right now, because you're exactly right. In the land of coaching, I know you do coaching as well.
Mhm.
There are times, many times, where the client will say a version of, maybe not quite as blatant as, but a version of, just tell me what to do. Just
Mm,
just tell me what to do. And it depends on the type and style of coaching you're doing. The type and style of coaching I do is not directive, for the most part. There will be times where I'll say, listen, I'll tell you what I would do, but I'm not you. Or I'll give you an experience of another client who's been in a similar circumstance, and we can walk and talk through the pros and cons of
mm,
that. But the key part, which you actually hit on so well there, is you have to do what's right for you. So
mm,
I could tell you what to do, and you could go and do it to a T, and you might gain some benefit from that. But one, you're not going to really learn, and two, you're not going to actually grow. There's not going to be any independent thought there because you're just going to
mm,
do what you're told. But there's that fine line when you get to that spot where you're saying, well, you know what? You have to do what works for you. And then they're kind of like, well, why do I need you then? Well, you need me because I'm going to evoke awareness. We're going to talk about possibilities. We're going to measure success. We're going to see what it looks and feels like as we go forward. And I'll get an opportunity to do that here shortly. But it's almost that kind of, that little, what would you say, conflict point where they're
mm.
saying, we can talk about some various things, but you have to test it out. You have to try it for yourself. If going right down to the floor doesn't suit you, just come up to a point that does suit you. But remember why you're doing it in the first place. You're doing it to give yourself that a bit more flexibility, to give yourself that bit more strength, that bit more muscle, that bit more opportunity to
Exactly.
optimize the systems that you have within your body.
Exactly.
So if you're taking the easy way out, you kind of don't need me for that. I'm here to push you.
Mm,
I'm here to give you that opportunity to kind of take that next half step that you probably wouldn't have taken before. So that figuring it out, what works for you, really puts the power back into the client's hands to say, you get to choose. And if you choose the easy path, you'll get the easy results. If you choose a more difficult path, you're going to get the more fruitful, deep, beneficial results at the same time.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think nowadays, I think we're moving to a slightly different age where, you know, the mind and the heart, I know it sounds like a slightly different subject, but when you're teaching anything, if you teach just purely from the mind and the intellect,
Mm.
um, it, you'd say, oh, well, I want to save this person time and hassle.
Yeah,
So if you teach from the heart, you give them the full benefit of everything you know.
yeah,
Because you're one person, you've got a huge amount of experience. I want to save them as much time and headache and
yes,
frustration as possible.
yeah,
So I tend to nowadays, I didn't used to, I'll be honest. I didn't teach from the heart before.
yeah,
I thought more about, oh, you're a separate person. You got to find out for yourself,
yeah,
blah, blah. But I think even coaching, the style of coaching is changing now
Mhm.
towards, look, people are desperate. They have not had wise parents. They have not had wise mentors. Give them a chance to like um, lay their foundation because of your experience and your
Yeah,
victories and your quality of life achieved,
yeah,
and let them work off that instead of them having to bang their head on the wall trying to rethink it and reinvent the wheel.
yeah,
And I feel like that's also a kind of very biblical um, kind of injunction. Treat others as you would want to be treated.
yeah.
So
And
if I didn't know anything about a field, I would love for a person just to tell me everything,
everything they
you know,
know, yeah,
from the heart.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the heart space is so profound because I think I'm similar in my journey to you, where I would teach back in the day purely from an intellectual level because that's what I was being paid to do. There was no incentive to do anything else. But what in my classrooms, virtual or otherwise, it would always be a version of we're absolutely going to cover the curriculum. I promise you that. But you're going to get an experience while you're here, and the
Mm,
experience will be a little bit of comedy and some fun and some tangents and some stories. But if you actually pay attention, it's not
mm,
just to make you go ha ha ha. It's to kind of think about the message below the humor, or inside the humor, I should say, not below it, to give you that opportunity to just have a different type and style of experience. And latterly thinking about it, there was never there was never like a you haven't paid for this, so you don't get access to this type and style and level
mm,
of detail. It was me saying, I've already learned this. And back to my son Leo, I say to him often, there are certain lessons in life that you need to learn. That's just the way that it works. But there's certain other things that you don't, as in you don't need to experience them to learn. I can tell you those things and I can give you that guidance to save you a lot of time, effort, energy, and hassle so that
mm,
you can concentrate on the bigger lessons and on the more expansive experiences that your life is blessed to have or have
mm.
access to at the very least. So, but it's difficult telling that to a 15-year-old because he's kind of like, I've got it. I know what I'm doing. I'm a fully functioning member of society. Well, you're kind of not, but I appreciate the confidence. But it's that, I think back in the day, if I was to kind of summarize where I was going with that, was there was possibly a bit of a holding back to say, yeah, you haven't paid for this. This is not what you're actually signing up for. So if I was going to give you this, this would either be a super big bonus for you, or it would be distracting to the original message, which is what you thought you were buying in the first place in terms of your tuition fees to get into the classroom in the first place. But more so from the heart space now, if I can give you everything, there's nothing that you could take away from me if I give you my knowledge. You're
Correct.
you're only going to be able to go and hopefully gift it to other people, and then you're creating genuine impact and within the communities that we're trying to serve here. But I think probably subconsciously back in the day, there would have been a little bit of fear of giving too much away to the point where my experience and my delivery and my contribution is diluted in some way because I've given all the secrets away. And, and,
Mm,
and, and as a more mature educator now, I know for a fact it's the exact opposite of that.
correct.
But at the time, I never knowingly withheld anything, but I could see a previous version of myself kind of wrestling with that to say, oh, I don't know if you're ready for this, or I
Mm,
don't think that maybe you deserve this type and style of experience or information that I have. Whereas now
yeah,
it's full bore. It's you will get as much as you can handle. Some of it will stick, some of it won't, some of it you'll use, some of it you won't, and that's okay. I'll give you my all.
that's it. I think it's the absolutely like Wayne Dyer, the great spiritual teacher.
Yeah,
He said, it's your intention.
yeah,
It's your intention. If you have the intention to serve all out
yeah,
to however many people, whether it's one or it's 50,000, you're going to put everything out on the table,
yeah,
hold nothing back.
yeah,
Because the funny thing is, contrary to what the ego might have you think, that if you put everything out, you're going to lose something. Actually, the more you put everything out, the more you get back. Actually,
yes, exactly.
in so many different ways and opportunities in insight in personal development yourself.
Yeah,
And another great quote from Stephen Covey, the author of Seven Habits of Highly
Yep.
Effective People. He said, um, when you only truly learn when you teach.
Yes.
So if you haven't taught something, you haven't fully learned it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think that's such a fantastic, sublime idea
It
to
really
take into
is.
your teaching as a parent with kids, or as a coach for sports, or a coach for any other area of
Yeah.
life, or a teacher in school. Dan Martell, the great businessman, you might have seen him, is growing massively at the moment. Dan Martell. He also teaches from a biblical standpoint. He says, "I'm giving everything away.
Yeah.
I'm only 44. I'm worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but I still every day give everything away in terms of
Yeah.
all my knowledge, all my insights, all my systems, everything."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's really inspiring. Yeah.
It really is. It's fascinating as well. It actually reminds me, I don't even know why, about towards the end of the movie, The Founder, which was talking about the McDonald's and how McDonald's became McDonald's in the early stages and some of the practices and behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Keaton is the main character, and he says, all the systems, all the processes, all the tools and the machines and everything, someone else would have invented that. But this
Mm-hmm.
golden arch, this this big giant M, the name McDonald's, that's the epicenter of really what we're doing. I'm completely paraphrasing because he doesn't say it like that, but the tangible things that might have been thought of as a competitive advantage and something that not everyone has, so we can get your food to you quicker, it can be fresher when it gets there, you can have an experience that's going to be more efficient for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's stuff, that's things, that's not the experience. That's
Yeah.
not, what you're actually building together if you go there with a
Mm-hmm.
partner or family member or friend or whatever that looks like. And it really resonated with me in a whole bunch of different levels. I probably didn't articulate it that well there, but that's
No,
that's
sorry.
essentially it. So in terms of experience, I mentioned at the top of the show that I'm going to be involved in a net new experience right now, where I'm going to get an opportunity to sample some of the breath work that is part of the systems of Raj's company. So I don't know what the next steps are going to look like here. I'm going to put myself in your capable hands and I will follow directions. I am very coachable, so I look forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall I tell a little bit about it first, like
Please.
the
Yep.
method and how it's evolved?
Yep.
Um, so, as a women's relationships coach, been doing it for 12 to 15 years, as you said. Um, I realized that throughout the pandemic, a lot of women were having a lot of stressful, situations with guys. I know they were upset that they weren't allowed to meet people.
Hmm.
Some of them still did, naughty, naughty, but
Yeah.
still, they were kind of upset, don't know what to do, and they were interacting on the phone a lot, video call, Zoom, all that stuff. And they were still nervous, still anxious, still not sleeping well because the interactions are not going well.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a way how to diminish stress and anxiety quickly.
Hmm.
And, being in the yoga space for so many years, I know that all the traditional breathing methods work. They definitely work.
Yeah.
You've got Bhastrika, which is a vigorous breathing through the nose. You've got Kapalbhati, which is an exhalation through the nose. You've got Kumbhaka, which is retention of
Right.
breath. Um, and you've got so many different variations. Anuloma Viloma, which is alternate nostril breathing.
Okay.
So all of these methods work, but the problem is they take time.
Right.
They take a good 10, 15, 20 minutes of a routine to do once or twice a day
Hmm.
to get any noticeable, significant benefit. And I would coach these women and I would do a session with them. How do you feel? Oh, it's wonderful, Raj. It's great. I love it. I feel good. Next day or the day after, when we'd have our next coaching session, did you do the breathing? No. Why? You said it helped. Yeah. But why didn't you do it then? Oh, it was too complicated. I forgot.
Hmm.
You said breathe in for this much, hold for this much, breathe out for that much, and then hold for that much. They forget.
Yeah.
They can't sustain it,
Hmm.
right? And I'm talking about lawyers, doctors, people who, as professionals, you'd think, well, they'll be able to do a simple breathing method.
Yeah.
But actually, in reality, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Day to day, they won't do it because
Yeah.
they don't understand how to integrate that as a part of their lifestyle. So as a result, the same cycles of anxiety and stress with the guys or their relationships keeps coming up again and again.
Yeah.
So I formulated a method based on all my years of yoga training and yoga practice that's so easy and simple. It reduces stress and anxiety by 60% in 3 minutes or less.
Right.
And it's also proven a huge boon to people with insomnia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So people who say they've had insomnia for 5, 10, 15 years and taking sleeping pills, they do this method with us. In 30 to 60 seconds, they fall asleep and they sleep for
Wow.
6 hours straight without waking up.
Wow.
And then they tell us that's the deepest sleep I've had since I was a child.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
So,
intriguing. I'm excited.
okay. So we'll do the session and we'll take it stage by stage
Okay.
and then we'll ask you some questions just because everyone's physiology is slightly different,
Okay.
but we've done it, hundreds and hundreds of times, so we know broadly what to expect.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. For this one, you'll be relaxed and you'll have your spine straight with your chin more or less parallel to the ground.
Okay.
So, what I'd like to do is, Gary, ask you to check your nostril flow. So what you do is you block your right nostril and breathe out once through the left,
Okay.
like that. Breathe
Yep.
out, yeah, and then block the left nostril and breathe out once through the right. Just be an
Yep.
exhalation, yeah.
Yep.
Are they equal or is there a slight imbalance? Slightly.
The right nostril is a bit less. There's a bit less airflow through the right
Less
nostril.
air. Right.
Yeah.
So would you say the ratio is roughly 60-40 left to
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite typical. Okay. Okay. 60-40. Okay, so you're right brain dominant at the moment. Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Okay, good. And on a scale of 1 to 10,
Is the eyes closed? Should I have my eyes closed?
no, no, you don't.
No.
You can for now. Don't worry, I'll instruct you
Okay.
the actual method. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel right now? One is not you feel terrible, 10 is you feel amazing. Where would you say you feel?
I'm kind of like a 9. I'm feeling really good.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Um, and do you do any breathing methods?
I do meditation every day, so that comes with the breathing. It's directed meditation through Peloton is what I do. So there's breathing that's
Um,
incorporated as part of that.
I see. I see. Okay. And how long do you do it for, roughly?
10
A
minutes
day?
typically.
10 minutes per
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Right. So this method is very soft, it's very gentle, and you don't need to force anything or rush anything like that. So it's going to be 3 parts in through the nose,
Mm.
and I'll show you that, and 3 parts out through the mouth.
Okay.
So it goes like this. As you notice, there's a slightly a more sort of elongation or elongated third out breath through the mouth.
Okay.
And the ha sound is coming from the back of the throat
Right.
because that activates the vagus nerve.
Okay.
Right. Um, so try that once or twice for us.
Okay. And so I didn't hear any noise coming when you did it through the mouth. Is it supposed to be silent or is it supposed to be a noise?
Can you, maybe it's, if I get a bit closer here, it's like ha 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 without the vocals. So,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Right. I'll
So,
give it a go.
okay. So it's 3 parts in through the nose as well. So like this. That's it.
Okay,
Good. Okay, so what we'll do that for a minute together
okay,
with the eyes closed. Keep the
okay.
eyes closed. Everything nice and soft and gentle, and then we'll ask you a few questions. So on the count of three, three, two, one, and go. Stop there.
Okay.
Relax. Keep your eyes closed. Just relax. Just gently notice what's happening within. Just observe and just relax. Keeping your eyes closed, Gary. Tell me what you notice and how you feel.
It's originally towards the end, I was kind of feeling slightly lightheaded, or as if lightheadedness was coming my way.
Mm-hmm.
Since we stopped, everything is so quiet. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything is
Yeah.
quiet. Normally, part ways through the meditative practices I have, my mind is busy and
Mm-hmm.
and I hear different things that kind of contribute to the busyness. I don't have that. I'm literally like fully present here,
Mm-hmm.
without that distraction.
Mm-hmm. That feel pleasant to you?
Yep, it's really good.
Do you feel any cool sensations around your nose, around your head, around your temples, your eyes, maybe around the top of your body, or anywhere? Any cool
Yeah, I
sensations?
didn't actually notice it till you said it, but certainly around my nasal area for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
There's that kind of chill or cold sensation.
yeah, yeah. That's good. So that tells us it's fully activated. Activating. Good. Okay. And you notice your heart rate slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a bit. Or,
I think it was at quite a good resting rate anyway. I've
mm-hmm,
really enjoyed this conversation, so it's kind of put me at ease at my side.
mm-hmm,
So there wasn't a lot to come down from, but it's definitely a comfortable, active resting space, if I could
mm-hmm,
describe it like that. Pace,
yeah.
sorry.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the mental chatter, which they call the monkey mind
Mm,
in Buddhism. You said that's kind of reduced a bit, kind
yeah,
of mental chatter. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
quite
Typically,
significant. Yeah.
I would. It's almost kind of like disappeared completely. Where I don't know if it's a byproduct of the timing that I do my meditation, which is typically in the morning, where I'm kind of setting myself up for the day. So maybe there's just the humdrum of the day, and it could be just a byproduct of the time that we're doing it. But it's like everything is locked away, and I'm just literally here.
Mm. So it's like all the scattered kind of attention, being concerned about
Yeah,
things to do on your list or other distractions are kind of minimized, would you say?
exactly. And even the background noises that I can hear, I'm not second guessing it. I'm not trying to decipher what it is. I'm not trying to in any way use it as a distractive
Mm.
implement or anything. I'm just listening to it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It's like you're a detached observer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And do you feel like your mind is kind of expanded beyond the confines of the body, like you have an increased kind of sense of awareness, would you say?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
I think so. You know, I think coming with the unburdening of the monkey mind, you know, as you
Mm.
said earlier, there it's almost as if there's greater capacity there to consider other things, take on other information, or not.
Mhm.
You know.
Mm. Mhm. This space it's called neuroplasticity,
Mm,
and um, this you're actually in the zone right now, or what we also call flow state.
yeah.
So it's very easy to concentrate. It's very easy to focus.
Mm,
Um, so if you could check your nostrils, I think you said it was like 60-40 earlier.
yeah.
Can we check again to see if that's changed?
It feels that the right nostril is it wasn't blocked before, but it's not as it's it's probably not 50-50, but it's kind of like 45-55.
Right, perfect. Considering it's just 60 seconds, it's not a bad shift at all.
Yeah,
For 60 seconds. Okay.
yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Gary, where in terms of being surprised at how quickly this worked, 1 is not very surprised, but 10 is very surprised. Considering you just did this for 60 seconds, how surprised are you at how quickly this worked?
I would say that's a 9. You know, it's I've done breath work. I've been concentrating on breath work before, but I have that propensity to stay inside my head
Mm.
and just however this actually genuinely worked has been kind of profound actually.
Mhm. Yeah. Now you can see why, you know, we've spoken to a lot of people who do a lot of the popular breathwork practices like Wim Hof and other practices. And when they do this with us, they're like, okay, it's easier, it's gentler. There's no cold exposure necessary.
Hmm.
Don't need to sit in an ice, you know, tub of ice cubes. And I genuinely feel in flow state, and it was effortless.
Hmm.
So you just did this for 60 seconds. We have our clients do this for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and 7 minutes.
Hmm.
So just imagine how you would feel if you did this for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 7 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. And that would be pretty incredible. I'm fairly sure.
Yeah. So there you go.
Excellent. Wow. So there's a live demo. I that was really good. That was I believe in breath work. I believe in the power of breath work. My approach to breath work is quite random.
Mm.
It's whatever serves me at the time, whatever class is there when I open up the Peloton app in the morning. So it's not as deliberate as that. But in terms of the ability to remember it, to your point earlier, and the ability to actually perform at the time it takes. Everyone's got 1 minute in their day. Everyone's got 3 minutes in their day, 5 or 7 as well. If they genuinely want to take that, and that's probably been the most profound breath work that I've ever done. Just in terms of concentrating on it and letting it be what it was intended to be, or what I was hoping it
Mm.
was going to be. Actually, is probably a better way to say it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
fascinating.
Do you want to know? I mean, the interesting thing is, for people that are kind of dialing into their own wellness and their own healing or optimization recovery uh, ways, methods, what you've just done is you've unlocked endorphins in your brain, hormones,
Mhm.
serotonin and dopamine from your own brain.
Yeah.
And you've
So,
also activated the vagus nerve, which is very, very important in the parasympathetic nervous system.
yeah,
You relax and reset.
yeah. And it's helping optimize the systems as well at the same time. That's incredible. And this has been an amazing experience. So I have a couple of questions that I typically like to end with, and one is a personal story from you. What what's one regular practice that you do? We might have already just done it, but indulge me anyway. What's one regular practice that you do that enables you to become the best version of yourself each and every day?
Well, you know, the thing is, because people don't, this goes back to this main core subject again, because people don't understand what breath is a multi-dimensional energy.
Hmm.
It's not just one thing.
Yeah,
What you think is oxygen, it's not just oxygen and nitrogen, as the school books have taught you.
yeah,
It's actually light, electricity, and magnetism. So if you can pull in light, electricity, and magnetism into your system from the environment,
yeah,
that is going to have the biggest, most profound, and quickest impact on your accelerating your own evolution.
yeah, yeah.
So I hope that
It,
helps. Not
it
to
does,
think
and
of
that's and so you incorporate that into your breath work every day.
to absolutely. If I want to stay in flow state and meditation all day long, all you do is this method for 5 to 7 minutes, once or twice a day, and everything morphs around your thoughts and
Mhm.
flows the way you want it to.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
I give presentations and meetings and I'm in flow state, everyone's nodding their head like
yeah,
this because I feel good.
yeah,
And people resonate with people who feel in genuine harmony with themselves inside and out.
yeah, yeah. I love it. Brilliant. This has been a fascinating conversation. Before I let you go, Raj, where can people find out more about you and about your organisation?
Sure, the best place is keepfitkingdom.com.
Mhm.
So keepfitkingdom.com. You can find out about the breathwork method that we just did on the 3 products tab. So you can just click that. There's lots of feedback, testimonials, videos. You can message us on WhatsApp directly through the website.
Perfect.
Yeah, or email, drop us a message, any questions, happy to help.
Excellent. This has been a unique experience, my friend. Thank you very, very much for taking the time. I've thoroughly enjoyed it today.
It's been amazing. Yeah, I love your questions were really incisive and it's great to go outside the box quite a bit as well. So I really appreciate it.
Good man. Hello again. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode, and I do hope that you found it valuable and gained some insights. I do have an ask for you. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would absolutely love it if you would connect with me on my socials, and that's at LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search for my name and do whatever it is you need to do there to follow me and stay updated with all the latest content, tips, and discussions. And for any more resources that you're looking for, feel free to visit my website, garygillen.com. And while you're there, you can book a free, no obligation 30-minute coaching call directly with me through the site. Whether you're looking to enhance your performance or tackle a new challenge, I'm absolutely here to help you succeed, and I would absolutely love to hear from you. Thanks very much again, and until next time, keep pushing towards your goals and getting better each and every day, my friend.